This is the 70D. It's a mid-range DSLR, has a 20.2 megapixel crop frame sensor, 19 points of autofocus, uses SD cards, and can shoot at 7 frames per second continuous burst. We have it mounted with an 18-55 STM lens, which is one of the kit lenses you can get with the 70D, and here is how the 7 frames per second continuous burst sounds like. The camera is made mostly of plastic, but that also means it's pretty light. It fits quite well in the hand, it's moderately sized, and it's quite comfortable. Over the top we have the LCD, it's backlit in orange, and you can see some microphones by the Hot Shoe, stereo microphones in fact. That's a control dial to press down and then twist to change the mode. And by the side we have some ports. We've got an external microphone and a remote release. And we got HDMI and a regular AV out. You can see that. And on the side we have the SD card, single SD card slot. And on the back we have a fully articulated 3-inch touchscreen. Just turn it out, as you can see. Now I can engage live view. And that's the screen. As mentioned, it's fully articulated and it's a touchscreen. You can touch the focus wherever you want. Now this camera does have a cool new feature, at least back in its time, known as dual pixel autofocus. That allows the camera to have some very fast and accurate autofocus while utilizing live view. Previously cameras had to make do with contrast detect autofocus, which was often unreliable and slow. However, I will note though that the lens we're using here is an STM lens, as you can see, so that really takes advantage of the dual pixel autofocus. But that doesn't mean you can't use non-STM lenses or even regular lenses that don't have any STM or USM. They will still take advantage of the camera's autofocus capabilities nonetheless. Especially when it comes to video, the autofocus does do a marvelous job at autofocusing quickly and quietly. For videos, you can record in a number of resolutions and frame rates, going up from 1080p at 24, 25, and 30 frames per second. You've got 720p at 50, 60 frames, and a low resolution 640 by 480 at 25. The sound is currently being recorded using the 70D's internal stereo microphone. You can record sounds coming in from the right and sounds coming in from the left. Photos are, as mentioned earlier, 20 megapixels. You can shoot in RAW and a combination of JPEGs. The camera does have built-in Wi-Fi, which allows you to use your smartphone to view the camera remotely, as you can see. You can also take pictures, and you can review them remotely. However, setting up the Wi-Fi on the camera is a little bit fussy. It's not as user-friendly as I hoped it would be, but it does work, and it works quite well. Unfortunately though, you can't record video remotely. The camera also does have a little cool function where you can sort of quieten down the shutter of the camera. If you look carefully here, go into Drive and we can put on the silent shutter mode by turning the mode dial until it shows the letter S. And by doing so, the camera does shoot at a slightly quieter sound, and here's how it sounds like. And now, in the normal mode. You can also shoot continuously with the silent shutter, however of course it will be slightly slower. Here's how that sounds. The camera does very well for video, but when it comes to photo, it does a good job in resolution, but in terms of dynamic range, it does lack a little bit. Comparing it to its competitors like the Nikon D7200 or 7100, the Nikon does edge out a little bit more in dynamic range. However, if you're going to primarily be using the camera for photos, you probably will be better off with the Nikon. The Canon one here is quite heavily video focused. Also, it is a little bit noisy when you shoot in low light. However, that's to be expected as the sensor is not a full frame sensor, so it won't be able to capture as much light as a full frame sensor can. One of the downsides I didn't really like with the camera is the battery life. Now, the camera does have a lot of features packed into it, however the battery life does suffer as a result of powering all of those features. I noticed that I had to replace my battery quite a lot more often than my other cameras like the 7D. If you're going to be shooting a lot, especially video, be sure to carry a few extra batteries. Apart from that, the camera is quite solid. It's very comfortable and easy to use. It's just overflowing with features that you're gonna like, especially if you don't really need the super high-end models. You can save quite a bit in getting the 70D, even secondhand, even at this point in time, because it has already been replaced with the newer 80D. If you're one of those people who have kind of outgrown themselves in the mainstream models and looking for an upgrade without breaking the bank, the 70D is a great option. The 70D can still be purchased, even brand new as of the making of this video. Apart from the slightly less than stellar dynamic range and battery life, the 70D makes up for it with some really good video functionality. Overall, I think this camera is, in fact, one of my favorite cameras. I use it more often than my 7D and my 5D Mark II. So yeah, that's the 70D. Thanks for watching.